Scholars, greetings of the day. Today, we are going to see sampling techniques in research. Every time when I speak to you, I say that every session is important. So, what you have done up to now, from your research problem to your hypothesis, and these all accounts or these all are counted by the quality of the data and the methodology by which you collect data. That is the core part. So the success of a research is the scientific way of collecting data. And there are different methods. So today, what we are going to see is sampling techniques in research. I mentioned it as an ICT, information communication technology perspective, but I'll be discussing social science and ICT in both. So today, every data what you collect, and if you collect it systematically and categorically with a purpose, that can be a reality for tomorrow. Because after the post-war or during this war time, if you can see how the price of the fuel has gone up and how it is going to affect the market and the number of days the war is going to escalate, you can predict what will be the future prices, what will be the future consumer price index change, and what can be the inflation you can expect. For this, you don't have to go to the entire world. What you do, you create a scientific method which is data driven with reliable results, and you can make a real world impact or assessment. So welcome to the session. So today, what we are going to do, I expect 60 minutes, but I put it to 90 minutes. So today we have a lecture and a discussion. So you can discuss with your researchers what you are doing. Today, we are not going to the real mathematical numbers, but we are going for a conceptual clarity to real world application. And in my previous sessions, I explained a lot about population. Population is the people under study. And from that population, we fetch a sample, and sample bridges between the population and the reality. So if you take a sample, you may ask me, it is a tricky thing, isn't it? It is not a tricky thing. Maybe the researchers use it as a method in which they can save a lot of things. From the population, we take a sample and we study the sample characteristics. We take the sample statistics. We apply scientific research methodology, and later the results are generalized to the population. So we are going to study sampling techniques that gives us reliable results and how we can generalize the data, the insights, what we get from the sample to the entire population. So sampling technique is basically the core important part. And as a researcher, the most important thing is that which sampling technique you have used. The sampling technique used by James cannot be adopted by William. The sampling technique of Elizabeth cannot be adopted by Tony. So because the research scenarios are different. So this is the first thing I want to tell you. You cannot say that someone has used their random sampling, so I will also adopt that one. No. So we are going to talk about some of the samplings what we use in AI data, software testing, many things. In our general life, if for ICT researchers, network sampling is done, software testing, you get different parameters, and from that you can do a sampling. Then user interfaces, like Elizabeth is doing a study on the effectiveness of library systems if we use e-library methods. So every user, they have their own way of understanding and assimilating and experiencing the interface. So this all comes with sampling. It is very difficult for a software developer to check the user experience for all the people who are using the software. So we give it for a sampling, and from that we generalize this will be the outcome when sampling is done, or when we try to generalize. So today, what is our learning outcome? The learning outcome for today: to understand, compare, and apply appropriate sampling techniques to ensure valid, reliable, and generalizable research outcome. So I told you sample is used to generalize. So I put a sentence here: sampling is not a technical step in research. The sampling leads to the decision, and that determines whether the research reflects reality or not. So if you make data of your own, and in research we call you cooked data, because you never go to the field. Nowadays there are a lot of AI facilities are available. You can generate data, and you can say I have done this research, but it will not reflect reality. So as a researcher, we have to ensure we follow the ethics of research. So don't cook data. Make sure that you take the data, you reach the field and take the appropriate data in a scientific, systematic method by using appropriate data collection tools. So this is today's agenda. Now, so in this one quickly, we are going to talk about two kind of researches. One is about the graduate trainee retention in private sector banks in Uganda, especially in Kampala, as well as for the ICT researchers. I'm doing a research that is how we can the power dependency of agri robots or agri rovers. I'll explain that in detail. Then we'll talk about what is the conceptual foundation of sampling, what is a population, and what is a sample. In fact, sample is a selected subset of population. Sorry. So sampling as a representation of the reality, as I told you before. Now, why sampling is critical? That is most important thing. I told you, if it is good if you can do, if you can take sample from, if you can take data from the entire population under study, but time constraint, moreover cost constraint, accessibility, data manageability. So there are a lot of things that makes us why we want to stick on and embrace sampling. Now, so the question comes, now if time is not a constraint for me, if cost is not a constraint for me, accessibility I don't have challenges, data I can manage well, then I say no need sampling. And you do a full study of the population, and that will be a great thing. Now, but in the real world, it is very difficult. Now, how we are going to divide the sampling techniques? There is a big divide. The sampling techniques are basically divided into probabilistic sampling and non-probabilistic sampling. So in probabilistic sampling, someone is going to join me. Yeah. In probabilistic sampling, what happens? Every sample has a chance of getting as a sample thing. So like we make a probability that it's like a simple random sampling. You studied this one, so I'm not going to explain much. Stratified sampling, systematic sampling, cluster sampling. In no probabilistic sampling, we are not sure. So the researcher do their own convenience and convenience sampling. Purposively, they do sampling. Snowball. Then they do quota sampling. Okay, I take 10 teachers from higher education. So if you take the sector in the graduate trainee retention, okay, you will not go for the entire banks. You say, okay, I'll go to Stanbic and I'll go to Crane Bank or DTP Bank. The remaining private bankers, let them be there. So this is called as a quota sampling. Next, we are going to see, in fact, I have a very bad throat. but I don't want to lose today's session. So in decision framework, that means the researcher, you have to decide how to choose the right sampling technique. Also, you have to decide the right method of doing your sample, and it depends upon your research design. If you are doing a quantitative research, you are doing a qualitative research, so what you have to do, then what you are trying to generalize, the size of the population, then the sampling frame available for you, because we are studying an entire population, what is accessible for you, and the unit of analysis. The unit of analysis here in the graduate training retention programs of private sector banks in Kampala, each graduate trainee who is onboarded is a unit of analysis. Now, we are also going to discuss the applications in the ICT research, how we are going to do the sampling, and we are trying to get some key insights. And this is what we are going to do. So we'll make some discussions if you need. All right. So I hope you can hear me well. Can I get a feedback?
No,
Yes, we hear
Doctor,
you
your
well.
volume is quite low, and I'd sent a message in the inbox that I'm struggling to hear you, sir.
James, what is your thing? Are you able to hear me well?
Sir, you clear.
Sorry?
I can hear you very well.
That means, William, you have a problem with your internet, or you change your headset or things, or you increase the volume of your device, because I can hear you well, James can hear me well. That means my connectivity is okay. William, are you okay? I think he's on slow mode.
No, Doctor, I'm still challenged. The volume is quite low, and I've increased it here to maximum, but I still struggle to hear you.
Change your device. Change your device. What you can do, now you are using a laptop, you also join through your mobile phone. Keep the headset of the mobile phone and mute the laptop so that you can hear me well. Try it now. Hope others all can hear me well.
Yes, doctor.
Yeah. So William, you just log in through your mobile phone and use the headset. So, and you watch through the laptop. Okay. All right. William.
Yes, Doctor. Please proceed. I'm trying to connect, but I will try to see if I can catch up. It's well.
All right. Okay. Now we are going to do this with a sample study that we are going to do a study on every graduate trainee in private banks in Kampala. So now the question comes here. My study is on the retention as well as the performance of the graduate trainees. Do they stay back in the institution who have recruited them, the banks? The second thing, do they, let me allow. Yeah. Now try William. Then, secondly,
yes, Doctor.
Now, can you hear me well?
No, not yet. But just proceed. I'm trying to connect the laptop.
Okay.
So please let's go on. It's okay. I will connect.
So my question to my scholars now, you have to give me feedback. Just imagine there are 20 branches of private sector banks in Kampala, and imagine we have some 400 graduate trainees onboarded by them. So now my question to James, what kind of sampling technique you are going to use? Just tell me from your perspective.
Probably I would use a simple random sampling.
Okay, I don't ask you why. I'm not asking you why. Now, some other members, can you tell which method you will be using? Other members, please respond.
I beg your
I think
pardon, Doctor.
I am
I
asking.
beg your pardon.
I am asking which sampling technique you will prefer to do this study. Anybody else? Do we have a connectivity issue, James?
Maybe cluster.
Okay. Okay, can you say how it will be done?
Okay, if I may try for simple random sampling, because you said we have 20 branches, that the number of branches are really not very many, and maybe that's why I've chosen the simple random sampling.
Okay,
So
all right.
Yeah.
Now I got cluster sampling. Why it is like?
I would go for cluster because the branches are scattered around and it will be easier for us to group them so that we can get better data.
Okay, okay, all right. So anyway, let's move on and see what is going to happen to us in the due course of the session. All right. So we have seen that sampling is the bridge between the reality. Sampling is actually a bridge between the reality and the theory, and sampling will connect or help us to generalize the population under study. Yeah, I hope you are clear. You can hear me well?
Yes, Doctor.
All right. So what I say is that in theory, we create ideas, concepts, and assumptions, and we make our research design, methodology, then we do the data collection tools, and before that, we have to make sure what kind of sampling technique you are going to do, because based on that, we have to develop our data collection tools. So sampling techniques, it is the link that makes us to do the research possible, because we know we have a direction for our research. And the direction for the research is null hypothesis, isn't it? Because that is the point from which we start, but we have our assumption. So the alternate hypothesis may be the motivation for us to move forward. But to accomplish all these things, we should get the real data, the real world observations, which can be measured, which can be formed into real facts. So what we can say that research, we have to make valid conclusions, because that is the decisions what we are going to take. So we are using limited resources. We are not going to the entire population to do our study. We are not going to the undergraduate trainees in Kampala's private sector banks. But what we do a sampling, as like you have told, cluster sampling. Others have told it can be simple random sampling, whatsoever. So we want to know, the researcher want to testify, because if you take a bank, there are two kinds of recruitments, basically. Sorry. One is through the direct recruitment. The second one is to graduate trainee programs. So we want to make sure which is better, which is real, which is good. So the reality of this data will tell us whether the bank has to continue with graduate trainee programs. If the bank is continuing with the graduate trainee programs, if there is less effectiveness, what all inputs have to be given to improvise the program. So this is the purpose of the study. But if you do poor sampling, if you do invalid research, if you do a poor sampling, if you do invalid research, both are same. If the sampling is poor, your research is invalid. So even you do good analysis, till that moment, up to your research methodology, everything is good. You have done a good review of literature, your theoretical background is good, everything is fine. But sampling is poor, your research is invalid. You see, so the importance of sampling in researcher's life. Because if sampling is not proper, you will get biased information and unrepresentative samples. Because the sample should be a cross section of the population. So that is why we use a lot of category variables as well. And this will lead to wrong conclusions and poor decisions. So to say that good sampling leads to a strong research. If the research is strong, the decisions will be better. Why we are doing this research? Why we are doing this graduate trainee retention research? The purpose is that this research will help banks whether the graduate trainees in certain period of time, are they motivated? Did they reach good positions, good job roles in the bank? Are they retaining back? Because you, as a trainee, you are taking a lot of effort to teach and guide them on the job. So this will help the bank to make good decisions. So the quality of your conclusion, a researcher's conclusions quality, that is the decision that is going to be spearheaded by the research, depends upon the quality of your sample. So to conclude with this one, sampling is the core link. It is the bridge between the researcher and the reality. I say like that, or the theory and the reality. So sampling is good, things are good. Now, in sampling, we have to look at two things. People have some confusion. What is population? What is sample? How many number of sample, sorry, we have to collect from a population? Now understand, population is the entire group of your interest. So here the population is all the private sector banks in Uganda, and the unit of study is the graduate trainee who have been recruited by the bank. So what I say, the sample here, we have to select a subset. Just imagine, assume we have 1,000 graduate trainees in private sector banks in Kampala. So what we have to do, from that, we have to choose a convenient size of which we call as a sample. And these people all should be graduate trainees, or all should have entered into the banking recruitment by graduate trainee program. Why I say this, many times I get links from different people, different researchers, kindly fill this questionnaire. So one time I received a link from India through one of my students' WhatsApp groups. So she was telling me that this is one of my friend doing a research, kindly fill the questionnaire. Now, who is on board? Somebody has come? Nobody? All right.
No, Mike
Okay.
has come. I've allowed him in.
You allowed him? Okay, good. Yeah. Hey, Mike Aloni, thank you. So I'm calling back that idea. So if I open that link and if I submit a data, I may not be the unit of study. So I asked that girl, my student, that where is this study happening? Which region it is happening? Am I supposed to be a unit of the population or sample under population under study? Why I say this, when you go to the field to collect the data, and imagine if you are the researcher doing the study, you go to the entire bank and you give your data collection tools to the entire staff of the bank, which is a wrong decision, isn't it? because your study is only on the people who enroll to the bank as graduate trainees. So this we have to make sure. People with a lot of rigor, with a lot of statistical techniques, with a lot of pilot tests and efforts, start collecting data. Now, two things the researcher faces. First thing, the moment you start data collection or the day before, data collection is so interesting for you because you have good hope, you have a very good instrument to collect the data, and you are a winner at the moment. It is like the honeymoon phase of research. And you may be so lucky, the one or two people you met, they're giving you good response. Later, they say, I don't have time. Give me the questionnaire. I'll do later. You follow them. You call them. Nothing will happen. Then you say that, man, this is so bad. But I have to collect data from the bank. I assume that, the researcher assumed that, okay, why not graduate trainees? Let me take data from anybody in the bank. So you give to the Askari. So he says, no, I'm not a trainee. I'm a, no, you fill it. And you give some money to him. So does this make a valid decision? Because your data is corrupt. Your data is spoiled. This is why in research, everything you do well, if the data is not done properly, the research is upset. The research is not valid. This you have to make sure. So it is a bit tricky, bit complex, very demotivating thing, because in my research, when I was doing my PhD research, it took me approximately more than 6 months to collect my data because you cannot rush. And constantly, you may think that when you are doing your research, okay, let me let me do 1 month fully dedicated for data collection. Man, it will be very difficult. Maybe for ICT researchers, it will be possible because they are working with simulators, they are working with real-time systems. But social science researchers, much of your data, much of your data has to come from your respondents. It is easy to collect data from machines. It is easy to collect data from sensors, but it is very difficult to collect data from human beings. So, and you may have different levels of data collection. Like you have to talk to the managers of this bank. You have to talk to the recruitment agencies of this bank. So, you have to talk to the HR people, many level of people you have to talk to collect your data. You are not only going to the graduate trainees who have been recruited. So this we have to understand. So in this case, population, all graduate trainees in private banks in Kampala. That is very, very important. Sample selected trainees from selected banks. Because suppose we have 10 banking institutions in Kampala, and each banking institution, I'm putting just an assumption, 6 branches in Kampala, so that we have 60 branches. Each branch is having some 20 graduate trainees. So we have around 60 multiplied by 20, 1,200 graduate trainees. So here you have to use your key idea. Don't go to one bank and you decide, okay, you have done your how to get the sample size and you found that, okay, you need to collect around 150 samples. So don't go to the first 5 banks and collect the data. It will not give a scientific representation. Hope you're getting me. So why sampling matters? It ensures accuracy and validity. It supports generalization. Because I told you, the entire population of graduate trainees, by your research, you are going to generalize them. And if you don't take proper data from the real people or real respondents, this will break you the credibility of your research. So this will not give you a better decision. So sampling, why it matters, it ensures accuracy, validity, support generalization, strengthens research credibility, and leads to a better decision making. So I say good sampling is not about selecting anyone. This is what I was telling. You go to bank, anybody in the bank, you make them to fill the form. Yeah. Sometimes these people are rushing. So you say, you tell me your details, basic details, how many years of working, the remaining thing you fill yourself. So these are not good ones. Yeah. So we have to select the right ones for the right reason. Now, if you have some questions, you can ask me. I'm stopping recording. Yes, you can ask me any questions you have. Yeah.
Yes, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Thank you so much for would say maybe
James, you have to translate for me. His voice is breaking for me, man.
But also the maybe he's using Chinese. I can't get him as well.
Who is using?
Waluspindi.
Is that Abok?
No, that is
Abok.
Andrew.
Andrew, yeah?
No,
You
that
can-
wasn't me, doctor, but I have a question. My hand was up.
But I
I
cannot
was
see
just
you.
looking at,
Yeah, you are
yeah,
yeah.
I just have a question, doctor. For
Yes, please.
example, if I'm going to do sampling in a sugar factory, and I'm going to ask workers certain questions regarding pay and safeguarding, which are a bit pertinent, especially if they give me data and it might lead them maybe to lose their jobs. Can I be able also to incorporate in observation at a certain point and some other techniques so that I can be able to get the right full data? Because at a certain point within the questionnaires, with the sample that I get, they might be able to completely give me another story that they are doing so well, but in the real sense, according to what I observe, it's on the other side of the story. So what would you advise there before even I think about the sampling technique to use?
The first thing, you know that the data, what you are going to collect is going to spoil the stuff, isn't it?
Yes.
So what we should do? Just think very naturally. James
Doctor,
or somebody tell me what is the solution for Valsumbi Andrew? What should the solution for Andrew? I'll give a clue. You are collecting the data, and you never collect the identity of the staff. You don't collect anything that shows the personal information to identify the respondent. It is a must. Okay. The second thing, if you should be able to give confidence to your respondent that the sample, the information, what the respondent is going to give to you, never going to create anything for them. You are not going to disclose. Now, when you say one sugar factory, so now we understand that you cannot publish that research, isn't it? Because you say typically XY is a sugar factory, this is the scenario, that will be difficult for us. So what we have to do, there are two ways. That is why in the beginning I have told you, you should do your micro research for a stakeholder. So this research should have been initiated by that sugar company's HR department. Are you getting me? If they really
yes,
want to
doctor.
do that. That is why I said you, as we started our micro research, members, please make sure that we should have a stakeholder. Otherwise, it's become tricky for us, isn't it? So that is one part. Now forget about it. Let's think in the other way. Sorry. What we can do here now is don't get into the company to collect that. So the company will never know that you are collecting that. The second thing, never reveal the identity of the enterprise, isn't it? And never do only in one sugar factory. You can choose 1 or 2 sugar factories. If it is only one factory, you should have done with the permission or through the embracement of the HR department. I hope you got me well. Any questions, members, you can discuss. William, are you there?
Again,
I'm saying Andrew has a research problem and we are trying to resolve that one. So I was asking you, is there any other solution? One is I can tell. Juliet, anybody, what is the solution? I given 2 solutions. Is that okay for you, Andrew?
Yes, that is very okay, doctor. I get it now.
But your case, will it work now? You know, members, this is a good point of discussion because in your research also, you are going to face these kind of challenges. So that is more important. So we will discuss this case by case scenario. So this is what I told in the first phase. What is a population? What is a sample? As a researcher, you fix everything. When you come to the reality of sampling, then you move yourself away from the unit of study. Anybody in the road will become your data tool or, to collect data. Don't do that. Okay. Don't sit at home, give to your mama, give to your dada, give to your sissy, saying that fill this, fill this, fill this. I need data, I need data. Don't do it. Okay. Let's take some hardships to make our research better. Now, again, why sampling? Why we do sampling? This I told you before. To save time. It takes a lot of time in the real world. So research takes time. Sampling helps us to get data from a subset and we can generalize. Then cost, yes, man, sampling, collecting data is too much. Money is too much. So I was using a motorbike and 2 backpacks to do it, and I was continuously traveling. I try to stay in wherever my relatives are there. I try to stay there so that I can save the cost of stay, and I try to see all the people who are around. So but don't disturb your relatives and friends. But accessibility is another challenge because to collect data, to reach the population, to reach the location, getting permissions, you're going to face all these things. So never get disappointed. This is researcher's life. This is researcher's life because as a researcher, you have all these problems. You will have all these problems and try to make sure, try to endorse in yourself, you will have challenges. Even everything is fine, your unit of sample may not be able to give you proper data, as like they may not give data. So to understand whether the data is given by the respondent, we can have some psychometric sequencing of the questionnaire. So by that, we can identify whether your respondent is giving you proper data right from the reality. So that there is a sequencing by which we can understand that. The next one is data manageability. Now, imagine you are studying at a population of 1 million, and imagine you have everything and you collect 1 million data. It will be very difficult to collect and it will be overwhelming because you have to clean the data, you have to process the data, you have to do statistical tests and things. It will be very, very tiresome. So that is why another part we can say sampling produces manageable high quality data. So don't think that people think that, okay, I'm doing a research. So by sampling, everything is convenient. Just go to 300 people and sort out things. No, make sure that is the representation of your population. The quality of the data you collect from right people, the right time, that makes credible findings. So this is more important. This is more important in the whole population. Now, oh my God. Now, this is the big divide, how sampling techniques are basically divided. I'll go through a quick surf of this one because you have studied this from undergraduate to postgraduate programs. So sampling is divided into two, basically probabilistic sample, and it has more strength. What is a probabilistic sample? Every unit has a known and non-zero chance of selection, because the methods what we use here allow us, or there is a chance that any unit of the population can be a sample. And this helps us to enable to generalize the entire population. And basically we stick this more on a quantitative hypothesis testing research. So make sure all of you have to use the scientific strengths based sampling, that is probabilistic sampling. Okay. So because you are doing a quantitative study, you see that you have hypothesis for your research. So these are basically, there are a lot of divisions are there, but quickly to familiarize you, one is simple random sampling. In simple random sampling, we can have lottery method. And you know, it is a kind of simple random is a lottery method actually. Every unit has an equal chance. So this is simple random method. Every unit has an equal chance. If you look at the pictorial representation, you can see it. Any number can be like winning a lottery. The other one is stratified sampling. Divide the population into groups. Say like we can divide the graduate trainee recruitees or the people who recruited in the banks based on banks. We can cluster them. Or we can stratify them. So not cluster, we can stratify them. Or you can stratify them based on gender or age or experience. And we can take this many number of samples from each group. So like bank A, this many number of sample, bank B 6 sample, bank C 6 sample. So this is good. This is good for your work because everyone has a probability. Now there is another method of sampling that is called as systematic sampling. So members, before that, I want to ask you one thing. We are 10 minutes to 9. Okay, I think I can continue, isn't it?
Agree.
All right.
It's
So
okay.
in systematic
Yes, Doctor, we can
sampling,
continue.
yeah, thank you. In systematic sampling, what we say, if you have 100 people, we say every fifth person is going to be a sample. Every fifth graduate training. Now you choose how you will arrange the fifth one. You can arrange them in the age, or you can arrange them in the number of years they have been in the bank, or like that. You can do your own way. This is the systematic one. Another one is cluster sampling. Now you may find a kind of similarity between cluster sampling and stratified sampling. So in cluster sampling, what happens? Divide the population into natural group like clusters, like in banks. Then from that randomly select the sample within. But if you look at stratified sampling, we make into stratas like bank A, bank B, bank C. Then from that we select. We are giving equal importance for the three banks. But look at here, in cluster sampling, we have bank A, bank B, bank C, bank D, and bank E. But we are fetching some data from bank A and bank B only. Are you getting me? So this is a simple way of understanding cluster sampling. So maybe you may ask me, stratified sampling has more scientific approach than cluster sampling. This can be explained with different examples, which we'll do later, because we can look into your micro research and we can decide what is the best for this. So once I complete this slide, you should be able to identify what is the suitable sampling technique. That is the purpose of today's session. So to generalize, we use sampling, and we have seen for scientific research, we use probabilistic sampling. Now, if you want to know the practicality and reality, we use non-probability sampling. So here, there is a limited ability to generalize the entire population because you are using a kind of convenience. You particularly see a specific set of people. Purposively, you do the sampling. Then you do Snowball and Quota sampling. So here what happens? One method is called as convenient sampling. Now, say like you are staying at Chira Road, and from Chira Road, as you travel by, you can see the DGB Bank, and before that, you can see another Bank of Africa. So what you do, as you move from in the 5 kilometers, which are the closest banks to you, you go there, and please. Oh, all right. Can you hear me?
Yes, Doctor.
Yes, we can hear you,
Yes,
doctor.
I can.
That is my mistake. I forgot to power in my laptop. So sorry, yeah, because I was just I'm coming now. Can you see my screen?
Not
Not
yet.
this one. The other screen.
Not yet.
Not yet. Oh my God. Only. Let me try to. Maybe I have to join. Yeah. Okay. Where is Teams? Let me join 1 second. Kindly bear with me. Sorry for that.
It's okay.
I hope you can hear me.
Yes, Doctor.
Yeah. Sorry for that. 1 second. More. Record and transcribe. All right. Okay. So I'm sharing my screen. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
All right. So when we talk about, sorry for that disruption. So when we talk about non-probabilistic sampling, one is convenient sampling, as I explained to you. As I start from my home from Chira Road, the first 5 banks I get in, that is easy to reach. And purposive sampling, you are going to see certain people, or some other people who are graduate trainees, and based on your research judgment, you feel that I need to talk to this person to collect data. This is purposive sampling. There is no harm in that because it gives a quick extraction. In my case, I done purposive sampling with some managers of hotels to know whether the study is good or not, whether it can help the industry. Okay. The next one is Snowball sampling. Here, we don't know the actual respondents. So I don't want to say example here. Just imagine, maybe you are going to do a study on the people who use drugs. Now, these substances, the people who use, they don't reveal it, isn't it? And you don't know the population. So you want to study the stress factor of among the people who are drug abusers, especially who use chemicals. Since people who use, they never reveal it. So how you know? Here, you as a researcher, you may get one person, from you find the second person, from the third person. Now, it's a hard thing, but certain times we got one appropriate respondent, from me refer to another one, from me refer to another one. This is called a snowball sampling. Because this we do when we have hidden or hard to reach populations. Such cases we do this. Maybe you are going to do a study on the very rich people. Then access will be difficult. You may not be knowing who are they. So this is referred. Now, when you will stop the sampling process, when you will stop reaching the sampling, that is why you reach the same people back again, isn't it? So that means that area, that population is almost covered. This is snowball sampling. The other one is called as quota sampling. Here, the researcher says that, okay, I should have 50% of male and 50% of female in my respondents. It is a must. Or you say that I should have this many number of people from so and so banks. This is called as quota sampling, because you think that this giving quota to specific units will help you to get better information. This is quota sampling. So to sum up, we divide sampling techniques into two: probability sampling and non-probability sampling. So the practical strength of non-probability sampling, it is useful in real world and it helps to explore and do qualitative research. But scientific research, we have to use probability sampling. So I think the time is up now, and I suggest I stop sharing. So if you have some questions, you can come and ask. All right, I wait for your questions.
Hello, Doctor. Good evening. If you can hear me, then I will speak. William Odoch here.
We can hear you very well.
Okay, thank you. Doctor, I want to start off where Andrew left his question. When Andrew was talking about difficulties in some people trying to give you the right information. Now, I think two things. You mentioned that there are times that you may need to collect data without people necessarily knowing that you're collecting data. If I picked that one correctly. If so, wouldn't it have some kind of violation of privacy of the people? Because if you're picking information, although you may not publish, the fact that they are not comfortable with it, isn't that already a violation of some kind of integrity or something similar? That is question number one. My second question here.
Wait. Let me answer this first. I cannot digest so many questions at one time. Let me answer this first. Then we'll move to the next question. Is that okay?
That's okay, Doctor.
Yeah. Now, see, my saying was different. What I was trying to say is that when the problem Andrew facing was, the major problem Andrew facing was, if we get the real information, if the respondent provides the real information, it will be a problem for the employee. That means, so they hide the data, hide the actual things. What I was saying, it is now the problem happens. Sorry. Now the problem happened because Andrew is not doing the research for the company. Are you getting me? So now what Andrew can do, the respondents will definitely, and ethics, you have to tell them this is what you're doing, but don't go inside the company and collect data. Are you getting me? I hope, William, you're getting me. I said not without knowing the knowledge of respondent. I said without the knowledge of the company, of the enterprise. So without the knowledge of the enterprise, if you collect the data and you don't reveal the identity of the enterprise also, you can do a research. That's what I was saying. Now, come on, William, please. I don't know exactly that's what we are seeking for, because I was saying the respondent should definitely know. You cannot collect such data. It is not it is unethical. Okay, William.
Okay, the second question is, it is an hybrid. One, it is a comment, and then two, it is a question.
Okay.
You walked us through what you called the sniper's model. That was yesterday, but one.
Okay, okay, okay.
And you were able to demonstrate what a sniper needs to do to focus and be able to get the right research results.
Okay.
Now, when you were talking about sampling today, if you were to use a similar analogy, an analogy that talks about research in terms of a medical test. If I go to a hospital when I'm not feeling well, I'm able to communicate to my doctor that last night I never slept well, I have a backache, and so on and so forth. Now, the doctor will now get into some kind of a study. They will need to carry out a research from a small sample. This small sample could be blood. So I'm basically talking about this in terms of population and then sampling. You said population is the overall thing, the big piece. And then the sampling is a small piece from which you're supposed to do your study. So I wanted to comment that if you had used the medical analogy, the way you had used the sniper's analogy yesterday, I'm sure we would be able to pick you very well so that we are able to appreciate properly the difference between the population, the sampling, and how we can be able to arrive at the scientific results that we'll be looking for. So this is more of a comment, and I appreciate you, sir.
Okay, okay. Which screen you are seeing mine now? Can you see a screen of mine?
The big divide.
No, now what you see? Population versus sample.
Conceptual foundation, core understanding.
Population versus sample, isn't it?
Yeah, yes.
Now, just take the sniper idea itself. Now, remove the scenario, because in sniper, what we were talking was, we have an objective, we have a target. That hypothesis is the armory by which we take a decision, isn't it? And the armory is propelled by the gunpowder, and I told you the gunpowder is the data, isn't it? Now you know gunpowder is the power of the data that drives the armory to do the actual hypothesis testing. Now that gunpowder, what do? Take each molecule of the gunpowder. Okay, each molecule of the gunpowder is actually the sample, the unit of your study, what you have done. So just imagine if the gunpowder, some of the gunpowder is spoiled or some of the gunpowder is not of the proper grade, what will happen? The bullet will not reach the target, isn't it? Hope you're getting me what I've told you. William?
Yes, doctor, I'm following. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Because let me share something else. Let me stop sharing. Okay, let me again share. I again share the entire window, and Can you see this now? The snipers one. Can you see it?
Yes, I can see the sniper.
Yeah. You can see it, isn't it? Now look at here. I was telling you, we are talking about hypothesis testing that time, and our focus was hypothesis testing. You should have a binocular vision to target based on your theory, variables, relationships, and research objectives. But I told you that the armory, if you look at here, the gun barrel is your population, the bullet and the statistical test that propels. So what happens here, if your data is good, everything will be fine. And that's why I told you, when you do your research, never for the sake, you should only attend your real unit of study. That's why I told in the bank sector, anybody works in the bank will not work for you. Why? Because your unit of study is only the graduate trainees and the people who enrolled to the bank as graduate trainees, entered the bank as graduate trainees. Hope it is clear. If it is not clear, you can ask me again.
Doctor, I'm okay with that. I think for me, it was more or less a comment more than a question. So I appreciate it.
Okay. Any other questions?
I don't have a question.
Sorry?
It's a book.
I cannot hear you. Somebody translate for me. Sorry, I cannot hear you. James, can you hear him?
Either I couldn't hear. I don't know whether that's a book, but doctor, I have a question.
Yeah.
Yeah, you.
Abok, type the message to Jimmy and type the message to James. James will read for me. Okay. Yes, please.
I just wanted to seek clarification whether you're able to use both types of sampling techniques, the probability sampling or non-probability. Are you able to combine for your study?
Yeah, because in your research, you may have a qualitative phase and quantitative phase. Okay. So we know in the quantitative phase, yes, we have to use the scientific, more anchored sampling techniques, probabilistic sampling. And in the qualitative phase, like interviews and things, yes, group discussions, we can use a non-probabilistic sampling techniques. Yes, we can use both. Yes. Yes, please. Anessa. I think Abok,
No,
message me. Yeah, Abok, message me, man. I will read for you your question. We cannot hear you well because me and Abok were in the same place. We left the place at 6 p.m. today. 6:15 only we left. We are in the curriculum development meeting of UVTAP. Hey, Abok is, where is his message? Did you see any message of him? Oh, Abok. Abok, can you hear me?
Let me try to call him. Let me call him.
Yeah, you call him and check what he want to clarify. Members, I have some more slides, but I cannot take. My sound is lost. So that we will continue next day. Okay, but let's finish with the box question. Nabale, you have some questions? Mike? So no questions? Check with the book. What is happening? Oh, I'm okay, man. I'm okay. I think it's this infection is so much time.